Welcome, and thank you for joining us. I'm Jackie Ives, your host for Make 'em Fall Madly in Love Summit. 21 experts are sharing keys and tools to help you discover how to attract love, keep it real, and make it last forever. And I'm thrilled today we have an incredible expert speaker, Catherine Newton. Catherine, welcome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Oh, it's an absolute delight to be here, Jackie. Thank you for inviting me.
Absolutely. I'm thrilled to have you as a speaker today, but before we get started on your topic, I'd love to tell the audience a little bit more about you. And
Great.
so your passion is your commitment to the growth and empowerment of women entrepreneurs and creatives through teaching not only authentic marketing and business building strategies, but also universal law to shift mindsets and wealth. And what you've learned along the way is that learning to love and be loved in return changes the game in life and in business. So true. And also, as you listen to our interview, Catherine's going to share how in the quest for finding love, she transformed herself and learned one of the biggest law of attraction lessons that if you too apply, will change the way your man falls in love with you as well. Woo! It's going to be jam-packed with valuable information. And I just wanted to share with the audience why I was inspired to create the summit, because I was looking for love and seemed like an endless pursuit, and it took me years to make the discoveries that Catherine's going to share with you, the tools that you can use right away. It doesn't have to take years to discover how to attract love or anything for that matter into your life. And so I'm so grateful that you have agreed to be here, because you do have you are an expert on the subject of attraction, and you're going to talk about the quest for lasting love and how the law of attraction can help.
Well, it's a fascinating subject, isn't it, Jackie? And one that I'm so thrilled that you've created a summit about, because look, at the end of the day, everyone wants love. Everyone wants to love and to be loved in return. And it's a necessary step. In fact, one of the things I know to be true is it's one of our human needs, isn't it, Jackie? You know, love in itself, yeah, it's right up there. You know, when you look at Maslow's needs, you know, he talks about love, security, and self-esteem as being the three top. And so what do? We spend our whole lives on this quest for love. And for some people, that's an easy journey. And others, it's not so easy. I'm going to peel open the onion skin a bit today, if that's okay, Jackie. And
I love
yeah, and share a little around because it's all about what we learn, isn't it? You know, as coaches and mentors and consultants and people out there who are standing on their soapbox, and we've all been through stuff that's allowed us to understand deeper what the human, you know, what we need in order to love and to be loved in return. So that's what I want to talk about today in some detail.
Okay, good. So share with us how what your quest was and how you found love.
So, gosh, I guess you could say I've got a little bit of the typical Disney story. I mean, so many of us grew up on the Disney theme, right? We sat in front of Cinderella and Sleeping Beauty, and we saw the Prince Charming, right? And the Prince Charming came and took her away, and you know, off they went onto in their white chariot or their white steed and lived happily ever after. And I very much believed in that whole process. And yet, Jackie, it was interesting, I didn't have that around me. So I didn't have the modelling. And so what I did was I made a decision very early on as a child and as a teenager about the kind of person I wanted to fall in love with, and the person I wanted to manifest, if you like. And I learned from a very young age actually what it took to manifest. I realized that I had this capacity. And you see, one of the things I teach my clients and speak about, Jackie, is the fact that we were all born with a magic wand and we just don't know how to use it. And so I'm going to share some little tips around how you can use your magic wand in creating anything in your life. But we're talking about relationships here today. And I did manifest my ideal man, and met him at 17, and spent 20 years with him. And the standard process of marriage, right? We produced 2 beautiful children. I took on the role of the traditional wife. I was the nurturer. I was the home carer. I just took care of things, while he got on with doing the providing. And all the while, Jackie, there was this, for probably the last 5 or 6 years of my marriage, there was this calling in my heart. And I felt like a part of me was dying. And, the crazy thing is that this marriage, it was good enough. It wasn't terrible. He wasn't horrible to me. He was actually very kind and very generous and very caring. But there was something that was triggered in me, and what I realized is that I was going on a massive path of self-discovery. It really what it was. I was trying to find my purpose, so I didn't feel like I was on purpose. I came from a teaching background. I loved to help people. I was part of our team within our business that we ran together. But my job was very much, just to look pretty in the showroom, just to make the clients feel good and to make the business look good. And I wasn't actually using my talents and my skills. And there was a part of me, Jackie, that was just being eaten away. And I would show up for work every day in our business, and I wouldn't feel like I was being useful. And I had to listen, Jackie. I just had to. But what was interesting is that I wasn't actually, I wasn't listening. And I wonder how many of you out there right now in your life, or you remember periods of your life where you forgot to listen, and you were getting that shoulder tap, that one where, you knew in your heart and in your body and in your soul that where you were was not the right place, whether it was the relationship or whether it was the job or whether it was just the stage in your life. And I didn't listen, Jackie. And what happened was this fascinating chain of events. And this is where I believe that the law of attraction is always working. You see, the message that I was putting out there was, I'm not satisfied. I'm feeling this calling for something different. I'm not in love with being in love with this person anymore. And so what started to happen is that my whole feeling around this person started to decline. And in the process of this declining, the love just actually stopped. And I met someone, and this person that I met was, I call this person now my angel, because this person came into my life and literally shoulder tapped me and said, "Are you really happy?" And I was like, wow, oh my gosh, no one has ever asked me, am I really happy? And I didn't listen for a long period of time, for probably a good 3 to 6 months. This person that came into my life to become almost like a counselling, mentoring role for me, Jackie, and this person just, literally just continued to ask me questions. Are you happy? Are you on purpose? Does this feel good? Does it feel like you're in the right place? And the whole time I'm going, no, I'm fine. Mask was on, you see, Jackie, because I had to be this person. I had to be this person that I wasn't in order to, put on a pretty face and put on a bright smile for this marriage of mine, and for this business that we had together. And what I realized is that not only was I not meant to be in this relationship, but also I was not on purpose. And you put those two together, and this happened in kind of my mid to late 30s, and something's going to change, right? And through a chain of events, our marriage did unfold, and we walked away from the marriage quite amicably. And it was very, very clear. It wasn't easy. I don't want to, gloss over the fact that leaving that love was easy, but it was right. it was the right thing to do. And so, I remember the day packing my bags and off I was going. I had the kids and almost like that. That if any of those our callers or listeners use tarot cards, the first card is the Fool, the zero card is the Fool, and the Fool is there with its knapsack, and it was off on an adventure. And that was kind of like me. I was just off on this adventure. I was off on this quest.
Yeah, just to find yourself and to find what was missing. And wow, it's an incredible journey that we all take. And so this voice that you weren't listening to the voice, but that was the voice that really knew that you weren't happy and you weren't satisfied with your life and that you wanted more. And so what was the turning point with the courage? How did you find the courage? Through this mentor, someone was kind of coaching you and helped you create more courage for yourself.
Well, I kept putting out the thought, and I'm such a great believer in the power of our mind. Being a law of attraction practitioner, amongst other things. And Jackie, I kept putting out the thought that I knew everything was going to be okay, but I didn't know how. And what I allowed myself to do in that process was to stand in the power of I don't know how. I don't know when, but I know that it's all going to unfold with ease and grace. Now, did I know it was going to unfold with ease and grace? Not really, but I had this feeling in my heart again that I was doing the right thing. And, so, you know what it's like, Jackie, when you go through a life change. You just have to take a great big cup of harden up, and a whole dose of courage and an ounce of bravery. And I can imagine, Jackie, that many of our listeners are understanding what I'm talking about, and I'm sure you can relate to that too, right?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And so, I love that you brought up thoughts, and so that's just a huge component. I know I'm reading on your website that you teach people how to think, and I believe, as you do, that it begins with our thoughts. And so, can you talk a little bit about the thinking and what you teach people about thinking?
Absolutely. Well, I teach people what I know. I'm a great believer that I have to walk my talk, and so I'm not going to be telling my clients or the listeners anything that I haven't already been through myself. So, since we're talking about love, if I can kind of weave my quest for love into the law of attraction, I think the listeners might find it more interesting. Is that okay, Jackie?
Yes, absolutely. Please.
Perfect. Excellent. So end of the marriage happened, and I felt this really heightened sense of joy. Some people might think that was the wrong emotion to have, but it was the one that felt like it was the right one for me to tap into at the time. And I knew that if I bought into fear or doubt or uncertainty, that would take me down a spiraling downward path that wouldn't serve me. And I think on a soul level, I knew that. And so what happened was it was almost like I had this false sense of security, if you like, because it was like, wow, I'm free. I'd watched enough Oprahs to realize that I was my own rock, and if it was meant to be, it's up to me. And I was like this courageous voyager that was stepping off a cliff, and literally I had my mentor behind me pushing me, going, you can do it. And so I did. And one of the things that I did. And what was interesting, and this is even before I was a law of attraction practitioner, is I'd read The Secret, Jackie. And I wonder if many of our listeners have actually watched or read The Secret as well, because for me it was a real turning point. Do you remember the first time you picked up The Secret, Jackie?
Oh yes, I do, and it was it was things that I had a feeling about or already sensed and knew, but it all came together in that book. That's a real big turning point for me, and I know for millions of people.
I know, right? Yeah. So I read that book and I was like, oh, okay. So if this book is telling me something I already know. And it was like, well, how do I know this? And it was just, I felt like I was home. I felt like when I read that book and I watched the DVD, it was like, yes, that's right. We can have whatever we want. And I found this crazy statistic recently that 67% of women, they don't believe they can have it all. And I don't subscribe to that 67% at all. And one of the things that I've learned to do is what I just want to share with your listeners now is how did I manifest the next quest of love. And so I left this marriage, and for any of those of us listening who've left a marriage before or ended a marriage, the marriage doesn't just end. It just doesn't just finish. Excuse me. It doesn't just, you don't just get to the end of the marriage and it's like, okay, that was the day that you decided that the marriage was over. It's usually been a 2 to 3 or 4 year process, right? And so by the time the marriage ended, literally the day the marriage ended, I was ready for a different kind of love. And I, like most of us, I had a high need for love. I loved being in love. I felt that when I was in love, it was like everything in life was just in flow. And so I wrote my list, Jackie. I wrote my list, and I created my vision board. And I have a vision board behind me on the wall here, so I'm always updating them. And I even went to the extent of putting a rose quartz crystal, which I've got an example of here. I did everything I could, Jackie, because I felt like, that this was an opportunity to really find a love that was meant for me. And so I wrote my list, and it was a very short list. I wasn't too greedy. I just knew that I wanted someone that was like-minded, and someone that I could have fun and go on adventures with, and someone that would understand me and get me, someone that was loving and caring and kind and generous. And so what I did was I put this under my bed. So I had the vision board and the list and the crystal, and I put it under my bed. And then the funny thing is that for the next 7 weeks I thought nothing of it. And then magic happens, right? And the funny thing is that I was at a city 2.5 hours away, and I was at a reunion for a friend of mine, and I walked into the space where it was happening, and bumped into an old girlfriend, and she was like, "Oh my God, you believed your marriage? We have to, you know what girls are like. We want to goss, right?" So she said, "Let's get out of here and let's go somewhere quiet and we can talk." So I walked into this really lovely quiet bar, and within minutes he walked in, and we took one look at each other, and it was magic. It was like, it was that moment, like in the Disney movies, when you see your true love, and you lock eyes and you can't take your eyes off each other. And so we embarked upon this beautiful romance, this gorgeous love affair. And we followed the very much the two principles of love that I believe that people would benefit from knowing about. Is we find love based on two reasons, and one is compatibility. We need to be compatible with our mate, and that's that like-mindedness. That's that attraction on all levels, right? You can't just be attracted to someone physically, because they only last so long. You've actually got to be attracted to their mind, to their body, their soul, the whole gambit, in order for it to last. And the second one is a willingness to grow and to learn. And I soon discovered, Jackie, that relationships and this quest for love that I was on was the steepest learning curve I could ever have gone on. So 20 years of marriage, Jackie, and we barely communicated. And what I mean by that is that we really didn't talk about our stuff. I'm talking about our stuff. The stuff from our childhood, the stuff from our past, our basic human needs. When there was an issue, the funniest thing was we wrote letters to each other. We never really conversed. Fast forward into my relationship that I'm currently in, and he wants to talk about everything. And suddenly I've gone from not talking in a relationship really to going on this massive steep learning curve around communication. So what happened, Jackie, was it wasn't all sweet bed of roses on this quest for love. And here was me, a law of attraction practitioner. So I was writing my lists and I was like, this is what I want and this is how I'm manifesting love. Only it didn't happen quite the way that it was supposed to. And what happened was I went on one of my fastest learning curves that that we could hope to imagine. You see, along the way, I had this thought, and I had this thought that relationships and love had to be perfect.
Mm.
Do you know that feeling, Jackie, when you just have this, the rose tinted glasses are on, and you've got this fairy tale image, and you
Yes.
feel like it has to be
Attachment.
perfect.
That attachment to outcomes and how your mind thinks it should be or needs to be, and so the mind
Mm-hmm.
clings to those thoughts and not
Mm-hmm.
really able to see how lovely it really is right in front of them. But so yes.
That's it. That's exactly it. And so I began to become confused, and so one of the things that I know is that our thoughts become things, right? That is the basic principle of the law of attraction, is that what you focus on comes to be. And so what started to happen is I started to focus on what's wrong with me. Why can't I get this relationship stuff right? What's wrong with him? And I started to do the blaming, and I found myself going into a place of judgment. And no,
Mm.
this is a bit of a bitter pill for me to swallow and to admit, to your listeners, that I realize now that what happened was that I went into a place of judgment, and what I did was I actually pushed him away, Jackie. I went, no, 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 you're not the one for me. You don't tick my boxes. You see, here's my list. This is what I wanted. You're not doing those things for me. That's not right. You're not the man of my dreams, because you're not this, and you're not this, and you're not this, and you're not this. And I pushed him away. And I pushed him away, and I pushed him away. And what was fascinating is that I then went away and I wrote my new list. He has to be this, and he has to be that, and he has to be this, and he has to be that. And I put it under my bed, and within a short period of time, I manifested another mate.
Okay.
Only this mate had all the things I wanted, but there was no connection. And this mate had everything that I thought I wanted, because he was my list, right? I'd written it down. Only there was no real compatibility.
Mm.
And he didn't want to grow the way that I did. And so I pushed him. Actually, the way that life happens is that if you listen, right, Jackie, that it all unfolds with ease and grace. And so that chapter ended. And then what happened was that Jason came back into my life. This is my partner now. And one of the things that I realized was that with the law of attraction process is that we can actually get ourselves so in the place of, I've written my list, and therefore this must come to be, and this is how it has to be, and if it's not like this, then it's just not meant to be. It's not right for me. And what happens, Jackie, is, and this is where we could all benefit from understanding the law of attraction better. And this is my divine thought, is that actually, to use that word again, divine timing trumps the law of attraction. So divine timing in itself is a little bit like that movie. Have you seen that movie, Jackie, called Sliding Doors?
Oh yes, yes, that was a great movie. Very
Great
clever.
movie, right? Yeah. So here was this one woman, and we were taken on two different paths. And I watched that movie and I thought to myself, isn't that interesting? So she went on two different journeys and she got to the same ending. And so one of the things that I've learnt, which has really helped me on my quest for love, is to understand that everything happens in our lives in perfect divine timing. And in order for us to love and to be loved, and to really show up in our lives and in our businesses, the best thing that we can do is be true to ourselves. And I'm sure that's not a new thing for your listeners, but I started to really reflect, Jackie. I started to really realize that, hang on a minute, here am I with my list and my vision board and my journal, and I'm doing all the stuff that I'm told that I'm supposed to be doing around finding love and manifesting my mate and having this best life, but I was trying to control it. And the more I tried to control it, the more the wheels fell off. And it was like, this isn't how it's supposed to be. This is not right. And then I got grumpy, and I threw my toys out of the cot. And do you see this? I mean, you're a relationship coach, Jackie. Do you see it when women try to control a relationship, right?
Yes, and just I love how transparent you are in sharing your own story and how just utilizing your list, your vision board, the journaling, your rose quartz, and all of that. But then again, like you said, detaching from outcomes, we can want all these things and do all the work. So when it shows up, just not attaching to that outcome, just observing, being the observer of your life, because if you don't do that, you may not even notice all the other wonderful things that are happening. But like you said, you focus the judgments on what wasn't, and then your thoughts went in that direction, took you off what was happening, what was working in the relationship. And so it's so incredible that you had an opportunity to, the universe presented you really with the law of attraction opportunity to reconnect with this love that you have now, your partner, and it seems like the second time around you figured it out.
You know what? You're quite right. Yeah, you're quite right, Jackie. I really feel like this time that I figured it out, and I'm not going to, jump ahead and say I've got it perfectly right, because now I realise that actually the joy in the relationship is in it being perfectly imperfect.
Absolutely.
And
mystery in that. It's not needing to know. I don't need to know what's going to happen, because honestly, we don't get to know that. And the unknown is actually where all the excitement, all the mystery is, and that's what makes life so fun. So detaching from outcomes and just being in the moment and embracing that, it's so exciting.
That's right. And along the way of learning the art of law of attraction and combining that with one of the universal principles that I find is so valuable is the law of detachment. And the law of detachment allows us and gives us permission to trust and to have faith. And one of my favorite law of detachment affirmations that I use is that I am open to giving and receiving everlasting love. I am open to giving and receiving everlasting love. And I learnt that one actually from Gay and Katie Hendricks, and they're of course wonderful in the area of love, and it was while I was on this massive big learning and discovery journey that I learnt to find peace within myself and to forgive myself, to be kind to myself, and to realize that the more I could be on purpose in my life, the better it could be. And I found this correlation, and this is part of what I know works for people, and the gem that's in this is that if we understand that thoughts become things, that our thoughts affect our feelings, which affect our actions, which affect our results, then what are you thinking within your relationship or about yourself? What are you thinking? Are you thinking kind thoughts, or are you thinking thoughts that don't serve you? Because the very thing that's needed is for you to pivot, and that's a law of attraction term. But if you can pivot from what's not working and to realize that something's not working and have that awareness, and then ask yourself simply, so what do I want? Asking yourself that question, Jackie, so what do I want, puts you into the state of positive expectation, which allows you to take the next step, which brings you closer to that place. So if any of the listeners out there are going, well, how do I detach? I mean, that where's the book on that? the truth is that ask yourself, so what would I need to do to feel more at ease around my relationship? What would I need to do to release this attachment I have to having to find a mate? And the great thing is that your brain is wired to answer and solve your problems and your questions. The truth is that we don't stop to listen long enough to hear the answers. So if you want to be moving into that place of having that deeper sense of love and being really in that space of wanting your mate to fall more in love with you, stay in the thought of what do I want and what serves me in this moment, and take the learnings from that and realize that actually there is beauty in the simple act of asking yourself the question. And my favourite question above all else, Jackie, is I wonder what miracle awaits.
That's beautiful.
I wonder what miracle awaits. Yeah.
That's lovely. I just love the words that you shared with us. You have so much wisdom, and everything you said is especially about your thoughts become things, and the more consciousness you bring to what you're thinking, the more you can immediately begin to attract what you want into your life. It's just really that simple. It really comes down to it. And the detachment is a critical part, because we can get stuck when we attach. If we detach from everything, it's loving detachment. I love that. It's just, it doesn't mean you let go of the people you love, but you detach emotionally in a way that you're not clinging. And it's more of a way to be in an unconditional loving place. It's just living within a detached place. And so I'm really happy that you touched on that. And I know you have a terrific free gift I would love for you to share with our audience about that.
Oh, fabulous, fabulous. So along my journey, as I've dived deeper, I guess, into this whole concept around law of attraction and, stepping into our potential. And the great thing is that the tool that I'm going to share with you is actually something that you can use right across the board. This is for relationships. This is for business. This is for yourself. This is really a tool that you can use. It's going to help you get really clear. So what I've noticed along the way, Jackie, is that there's a lot of people out there. In fact, of the people that I've surveyed, 92% of people know they want more, but they don't know what they want more of. And so what I've set about doing is I've created a tool that helps people get very, very clear. And what you're going to get is you're going to get a PDF that's going to allow you to follow along with the audio that I have for you. And I'm going to literally take you through a process of getting clear. And what this does is this actually helps to align you with your purpose as well, so that you can be thinking your way into better results, so you can be being on purpose. I believe that what we're really here for, Jackie, is we're really here to move from a place of fear-based thinking into love and light-based thinking. Because you know that vibrational feeling you get, Jackie, when you're in the zone and you're feeling excited and you're filled with joy and you're in that place of acceptance, that's where the magic really happens. And it's when I found that for me that my relationship improved, and now it's in a place where I could never have imagined it to be. My vision board, I've got a little note that says that I want to be loved like I've never been loved before. And that's exactly what's happened. But it's taken this process that I'm going to share with your viewers, and I'm also going to teach you some nuggets within this free gift as well, around. Okay, so now that you've got clear and now you've gone through this process of understanding what it is you want and getting laser focused, then what? So it's okay. So now that I've written my list, where is it? Or now that I've written my list, where's my ideal job? Or now I've written my list, why am I not on purpose? And I'm going to teach you some nuggets that are going to really tick those boxes for you.
Well, that's absolutely fabulous. I love that your gift is about getting clear because that's the first step
Mm,
and getting
it
that
really
clarity.
is.
And a lot of people don't really understand what it is how to even begin the process of attracting what they want into their life. So getting
Yeah.
clear and learning how to get clear is really a critical tool. Thank you so much. It's really generous of you to provide that free gift for our audience. And I want
Mm,
to let everyone know that you can access that link to the free gift on the email, on the body of the email that you received to sign up for the summit. So make sure you go back into your inbox and find that and take advantage of this wonderful gift that Catherine's offering. And I want to thank you again so much for being here. It was such a pleasure to hear you talk about your quest and your journey. And again, thank you for such a transparent share. And you're really a bright light and a role model for women. And you've had a lot of success. And so I hope that the audience heeds your advice because it's really spot on, and I couldn't agree more with your principles. So thank you again.
thank you.
Okay. And I'll be following you online and watching. I know you coach business and marketing strategies for women, so I'll have to take a closer look at that as well. So,
Great, great. Yeah, lovely.
well, great to meet you and talk with you, and I'll see you hopefully soon on another summit, perhaps. But thank you all for joining us here on Make and Fall Madly in Love. Have a wonderful, wonderful day.
Thank you.